actually brothers.
Really? Okay, I should be
brother.
filming. I am filming. So you guys are brothers. You're brothers. You started HPC high power cycles like what, 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
So what is that? This is 2015. So that's like 98.
Yeah, 2008.
2008. Okay, my math. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Because this is crazy.
This is a custom system motor pad. You can buy these kits. They're about $2,000 for just the frame.
Okay.
And most people actually put a gas 49cc or 125cc.
Like right here?
Yeah, right here. It literally bolts on.
Yeah.
But we did. This was gas. We converted it to electric using. We teamed up with race-proven motors, and they actually designed the mounts. We gave the system, and this thing performs like a beast. So you can literally, climb up any hill because you're running this motor as a mid-drive now.
Yeah.
So it's a 2.1 reduction. So this motor's spinning twice as fast as actually outputting to your wheel.
And is that just, it runs more efficiently, gives you more torque? What's the advantage?
A lot more torque. If you're climbing hills, the efficiency skyrockets.
Okay.
So,
and really, top speed? Yeah. What's the top speed on
Well,
this
you
thing?
can gear it to whatever. So I geared this one to 33.
Okay.
So I wanted more torque because I value torque over speed when you're off-roading.
33 miles per hour. I mean, yeah, and look at these big knobby tires. It's pretty impressive. And huge disc brakes. What are you, 203s?
Yeah, 203s front and rear.
Hydraulic?
Yep, hydraulics.
Gotta have that.
Yeah.
Carbon levers.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this bike is basically a preview of what's going to come from HPC. If you look at just this basic design philosophy of big, low speed, super high torque, large diameter hub motor.
Yeah.
We're going to use those as mid-drive. So we're going to build frames around the system that are going to be similar to this, with the motor's going to be here. On our frames that we're making, the motor's going to be dropped a little bit lower for better center of gravity. And we're also going to have an onboard transmission that's going to be about a 5-speed transmission that we're going to allow this to have gears. So, in low gear, you might be going 15 miles an hour, but it literally will torque through anything and climb any hill.
Wow.
And then you'll have top speed, 40, 50 miles an hour, whatever you need to get.
And so I noticed this. What is this? Is this thing licensed? Or?
Oh, this was, we actually bought this used. It actually was street legal.
Okay. So you
it
can
actually
make
had
this into like electric motorcycle.
It had a license plate with, I think, 49cc automatic motor, which, this thing will destroy it.
Okay. We were talking about speed, like from...
Yeah, so we raced the 125 motor versus this system, and this will smoke it up to a top speed of 33, but then the 125 will slowly take it over because,
of course, the way that it's geared and stuff.
Yeah, this is geared. So when we design the transmission for this, this will have 15 miles an hour all the way to 45 miles an hour. Or 50 with the transmission.
Just can you hit me with the specs on this experimental version right now? Like what is this?
So this is actually, I was actually testing different motor efficiencies with this, using the cycle analyst to track my data. This is the smallest motor. I was just trying to see how it would perform at 5,500 watts.
Jeez.
So this one is not going to cut it for this system.
Okay.
The little bigger motor is totally fine, and the biggest motor we have didn't even get warm all day riding. So this is the smallest motor, and it's still mighty powerful.
What about the batteries on this right now?
This is a 90 volt system, 88.8 nominal,
Okay.
13 amp hour. So when we went out riding, hill climbing all day, I believe it went like 16 miles and then it died, which is pretty good considering we were climbing
ATV trails.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your the frankness about like, hey, here are the specs, here's what it'll do. I know you guys are like tinkers, you're always building
theoretically
stuff.
if you're on flat ground, say this
on a normal bike, that's
on a normal bike,
50.
yeah, to go up 50 miles.
Wow.
But when you're climbing hills, you're running full power all the time.
So talking about full power, let's see it. Let's you do a little flyby. Don't get hurt though.
Yeah.
Bring it out here. I'll spot for cars. Wow. It's fast. The mid-drive is sick. Whoa, camera doesn't turn that fast. There we go, this brakes. So what's the advantage of like that mid-drive on something like this versus...
If you've ever tried to climb or off-road with a hub, you see how inefficient they are. They don't have the torque you need.
So you're not doing the gear reduction like you were talking about.
With the gear reduction, you get it's very quiet. The hubs, you can see it's only spinning 300, 400 RPM.
Mm-hmm. You have to be careful with your pants or something.
Well, we're gonna make shrouds around this.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is.
And I know this is just we're just having fun here. This is just experimenting, and you're like something's coming. You're working on it.
Definitely.
What's the one inside that I saw that's like metal that you've got?
Oh, the Revolution?
The Revolution.
Yeah.
So that's another sort of experimental.
Yeah. No, that's ready to go production.
That's ready to go, so
Yeah,
people can buy that.
The end of this month.
Yeah.
How much is that one going to be?
Start at $7,500.
Okay.
It's going to come with a Schlumpf drive standard, which is basically retail. It's a $1,000 crankset that basically allows a 2.5 to 1 expansion. So if this were a Schlumpf drive, you know, you'd start with a 34 tooth like this. That's the size of the Schlumpf.
Yeah.
You click it in with your heel,
Yeah.
and it becomes an 85 tooth equivalent. So you can literally pedal at 50 miles an hour
Wow.
at a comfortable cadence, which is wild. The first time you do it, it's just a crazy feeling that you can input power at that speed. You know, when it's safe to do. Not saying that I want to do 50, but yeah.
Okay, and you know, I was trying to figure out, this is kind of like an electric motorcycle. Why not just have pegs? Like, why do you like pedals? Like, what's the?
Well, we didn't design this motoped.
Okay.
They I guess they did this so you can, I guess, you know, register as a 49cc motos.
But the Revolution
Moped?
also has pedals, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's a bike. Like,
Yeah, it's a bike.
It's a
That
bicycle.
frame
it's
only
lightweight.
weighs-
That we want to bridge the gap between a motorcycle, which weighs 200 pounds, which
Yeah.
is, you know, it's cumbersome off road. It feels heavy, you know.
Yeah.
So basically, the Revolution, you know, we're coming in around 70, 75 pounds or so.
Yeah.
So it actually feels
That's
lightweight
phenomenal.
like
It's
a
only
bike.
about 75
Yeah,
pounds?
so it
Jeez.
feels like a bike, you
Uh-huh.
know, but with a lot of power. So when we
Okay.
add mid-drive to the Revolution, it's going to be only in the 60s in terms of weight.
And with that Schlumpf drive, even if you really had to pedal, you could still, at low speed,
Oh, yeah.
make
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing go. You're not completely stranded.
You have 2 gears. You have the standard like 30 tooth or 34 tooth, and then you have like the 85 equivalent.
Okay.
That you can still pedal, and you still have the Revolution actually has derailleur. Was it nine?
It's going to be 9 speeds.
Nine speed
Nine-speed
derailleur.
derailleur. Yeah. So you
Dang.
have all the pedal power.
And they both, this is a Crystalite, and that also has a Crystalite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what's unique about our motors too is everything we do. We're on like the 5th revision of the materials inside the motor.
Okay.
So we have, you know, our custom magnets that we spec out. Laminations are high-grade Japanese laminations. We have silver-plated phase wires that are a lot thicker.
Yeah.
Especially on the controller side too. They're shorter and longer and thicker and silver-plated. There's a lot of little changes on the inside that we do over a standard crystalline motor that allows us to have that extra power output over something off the shelf that you can get
the
from
actual
people.
voltage that's used.
Yeah, and it's also like this motor in particular is
it's not optimized
wound
this
for
one.
72 volts right here, but most of our 4,500 to 5,000 watt systems are wound for actual 96 volt operation. So the magnetics inside it are different than a standard crystallite.
So, and that's because you guys have been in business for a long time. You order a lot of motors, so they kind of custom stuff
Yeah,
for
so
you.
we order a lot from them at a time and see shipments and stuff, and we've been working them for a while. Testing with the cycle analyst and testing efficiencies and trying to get up there and outputting power, measuring with the temperature,
we do a lot of testing.
thermometer to see what the temps are, climbing hills, and we get better and better with every iteration every year. In
What's
terms of what
the
materials we
starting
use.
point in terms of price for the Revolution right now?
$7,500
Okay.
for 3,500 watt, 45 mile an hour capable.
Cool. And that's the 75
and
pound mark that you're talking
It's
about?
around 75 pounds. You have real carbon fiber, unlike some of our competitors in the market that use like just a sticker that are carbon fiber.
Right.
But we have about $500 or so retail worth of carbon fiber on the bike that comes on the frame.
It's
standard.
certainly that's a pretty solid weight. That's lighter than your Super Mundo that
Yeah,
I was
so
riding earlier.
we got the frame itself light enough, like everything's machined and it's optimized. It's 6061 aluminum T6. We got the weight down, I believe, to about 13 pounds front and rear, which is unbelievably light. It's kind of like the weight 5 years ago of an actual just a normal downhill bike.
Right.
So we're excited.
Or
It's
even
coming.
like the Lehigh Coca e-bike. I mean, I think that was about...
Yeah, and this is like a heavy-duty monster frame, full
and
suspension.
it's super solid. Yeah, we're going to take a tour of the shop and see that other stuff. But this is... I mean, it just looks rad, right? And it's neat to hear what you guys are working on. Sweet. Where do you guys take this? Is there a place?
Gorman.
Where?
We test in Gorman, so it's about 45 minutes, an hour away.
Okay.
It's like thousands of acres of just motorcycle trails and ATV trails, and that's where
I've been to
test the bike.
Hollister and they've got an off-road track there, but I don't know if it's for
kinda like
bikes.
that, but it's huge. I mean,
Chris,
that's what
we're inside. Do you want to just give me a tour? I mean, we're looking at the warehouse now, and
Yeah,
I
so-
see a
so
bunch
this
of
is-
frames and.
these are a bunch of customer bikes that we're working on. We do repairs and stuff that here. Have a few batteries. Don't have many batteries in stock right now, but I'm going to show you some of the HPC Elites.
Yeah, tell me
So
about these.
What makes us unique is we sell a lot to OEMs, so we sell to other electric bike manufacturers with our cells. So we own the molds, and we do the mixtures, and we tell them everything to make as our own cells.
What does that mean, the molds and the mixtures?
So yeah, so they basically have to have machines that stamp out the molds that are the same size. These are prismatic pouches.
Okay.
So unlike 18650 cylindrical cells that are like go on laptops,
you got the pouches,
they're
yeah.
all pouches. Yeah. So these right now are capable of around 7C continuous to 12C burst. So,
okay, and talk about C rating and what that means.
Basically, if this were a 10 amp hour battery,
Yeah.
a 7C continuous cell would be able to output 70 amps continuous.
Okay.
And then the 12C burst would be 120 amp in burst in short bursts, 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. Yeah, so these are 13 amp hours, so they're capable of a bit more, somewhere around 70, 80 amps continuous per cell on these.
Wow.
The BMS is made from scratch with temperature protection built in, and it's
awesome.
a really, really high quality BMS that
Battery
is-
management system.
battery
I'm
management
sure the
system,
people
yeah.
are watching this
It's
know,
up,
but
it's up in here.
Yeah.
And it's made to be put in series like we do, because we do a lot of these. These are 45 volts. We put 2 of these in series for 90 volt operation. So the BMS is readily available to go in series.
it's like what we saw out there, 2 of those like right on at the head of the bike.
Yeah, so we have these HPC Elites. We have new HPC Elites that are actually 10 to 12C continuous, and they're going to be 15.5 amp hours. So you're talking about 150, 160 amps continuous that the cells can
Wow.
do, and well over 200 amps burst.
And the amps, just to be clear, so there's voltage on your battery, there's amps, which is like that. Those 2 things create the power for your motor, right?
Correct, yeah. Volts times amps equals the total watts.
Okay.
So the new one is going to be a single pack instead of like this. It's going to be something like this, a little big like this, 15.5 amp hour, 90 volts.
You mean this
and it's
right
going to
here?
be
What is it? Oh man.
something like that, yeah. So it's going to be something like this, 90 volts. We're going to optimize and make it a little bit smaller.
I want you to feel these brakes.
Huh? Oh yeah.
The light they are.
These are amazing. So here's a first look at the MT7s. So these are the best brakes that Magura makes.
Magura, yeah.
So if you look at the specs of the Revolution, which we're about to show you in a little bit, the standard brake is MT5, which
Okay.
is stronger than our competitors' entry level, their second level, and their third level. So our entry level brakes are gonna be stronger than all those. They're quad piston brakes. And then this is gonna be the Revolution X, which is the highest version of the Revolution with the best components. These are amazingly light. You can.
What is a
feel them
quad
feel
piston? What does that even mean?
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pistons and the brakes, so you have way better stopping power.
So they're all like those 4 of them are
most brakes are 1 on each side, so 2 piston.
okay. I get it, and that's probably
stopping
required
power.
for like a big heavy bike that's
Yeah.
going fast.
So yeah,
And I want to reiterate, like to clarify
Back
for
to the
people
batteries, yeah.
who are talking about batteries, an 18650 cell, it looks like a AA, a little bit bigger, but it's a metal like cylindrical thing.
Yeah.
Inside this, you have pouches, and so that probably reduces the weight significantly.
well, in actuality, the Panasonic and Samsung and Sony cells are a little bit lighter.
Oh, really?
Watt hours per kilogram.
What's the benefit of a pouch?
The power is not there. So
Okay.
like at most, I've seen Panasonic, like the best Panasonics they quote is 3C. I say probably realistically is between 2 and 2.5C according
Okay.
to our testing. And on the dyno and looking at the voltage tag, because it gets horrible at 3C and it gets hot, and that's why you see some manufacturers having like materials that are like keep it cool, and you
Yeah.
need active cooling on the batteries. That's only because your batteries are not very powerful. They can't output a lot of energy.
and that's
So
do you know what
when-
the C stands for? I mean,
Yes,
that's like
the C rating is basically, say you have a 10 amp hour pack.
Yeah.
If it's 5C,
Yeah.
that means that it's the continuous amount of power it can put out is 5 times the amp hour rating.
wow.
So it'd be 50 amps.
Okay, if this is a 10 amp hour battery.
Yeah. So
Wow.
realistically, the C rating in this is around 7. So about 80 amps or so is what the cells are capable of putting out continuously, not in bursts. It can do way more in bursts.
And then
But
volt
the
times
BMS,
amp, that's
so-
your watts. And
yeah.
that's if your motor's capable of it, that means power right there.
Yeah, the BMS on these are built for 60 amps continuous. So basically, we're taking it easy on the cells. So the cells are capable of this much. We're capping the BMS right here, so the battery never even gets warm. It's not even ever working. Right?
Good.
But when you're using like 18650s and you're like running at 2, 3C, you know, you're pushing it to the max, it's going to get hot. And that's why people are like, oh, I need like active cooling. With these, you don't need any active cooling. It doesn't even get warm. It's not even trying. Like,
can you talk about the bikes that use your batteries?
Yeah,
You know, as sort of a
so every bike that has a frame bag or the Revolution that has them built inside uses these HPC Elite battery systems.
And you said you were like an OEM for other brands. Do you want to talk about them? I don't.
They prefer to be anonymous,
Okay.
but there's some.
Just fair. If people are seeing this, they're like, "Wow, I want a battery that's like that." But you've got your website. Tell me that, by the way, while we're here. How do you get to your website?
It's www.high-powercycles.com. So if you type
great.
in Google high power cycles, you'll find us.
And you've got a bunch of sort of off-the-shelf bikes, maybe like a dozen or so, and then you do a whole bunch of custom stuff, like we were talking about.
Let's go over here.
And earlier, these guys were telling me, so Chris and Derek were talking about their warranty, and it's like a year comprehensive, but up to 2 years limited. So, you know, if there's, tell me about that like limited piece there.
So,
second year.
Going into 2015, we're going to offer a 2-year warranty basically on motor, controller, electronics. Battery itself is going to be 1 year, no questions asked, like we replace or fix it. In year 2, the limited part of the warranty is in year 2, if the battery breaks and we can't fix it, normally we can like fix a BMS or figure out what's wrong. If we can't fix it, then we'll give you like 50% off retail of a replacement battery.
Yeah.
So that's the limited part.
So you have a path to keep your bike going.
So here's an idea. So just to let people know our frames. So we get custom frames. So we have our designers submit the 3D CAD files, and a company that's well-renowned that we started with 7 years ago still supports us, the KHS. They build our frames in their Taiwanese factory.
Cool.
So for our lower-end bikes, I mean, they're still nice bikes, but the frames themselves
like the Freedom that I was just on?
Yeah, it is made in Taiwan, and then it ships to us, and a lot of times we'll get it painted and here in the States.
Just like powder coated, or what do you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So they paint at KHS, and then some of the frames we just get raw, and we paint like whatever colors here.
Okay. Custom.
Yeah. And then, yeah. So that's that. And then over here, I want to show you the Revolution, which is our latest and greatest.
Absolutely.
This is what's going to be competing with some of the downhill fast bikes on the market, such as Stealth.
Right.
This is the 4th prototype. If you see over here, about 2 years ago, this is the first prototype frame.
Oh man.
Aluminum 6061, smaller. We made it now, so you can see that.
This is the fiber, the carbon fiber you're talking about.
Yeah, carbon fiber. This is not finished. This was just thrown together. It just doesn't have the clear coat or anything on it. But this is the 6061 aluminum frame. A couple changes in production. They were going into production in about a week and a half. So we're super excited about it. So everyone that has their money in is going to start getting delivered.
And this is
soon.
being shot February 2015 is where we're at right now. So you're talking about March.
Yeah. So first week
March,
of March
April.
we start delivering.
Sweet.
2015. So a couple changes on this. This was a much easier design swing arm, very basic. Okay. We had to get much more complex in the new swing arm design because we wanted to optimize the bike so you can actually run 26 or 27.5, which a lot of downhill bikes are going to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we're going to be able to run 27.5 inch tires by 3.5 wide, so almost a fat tire.
Awesome.
Okay, so we had to engineer the swing arm, machine it so it would go around, clear the pedals, go around the tire, come in, and there's some trick new things on the dropouts coming.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is not finalized, but this is just a rough prototype, and this is the bike that we shot a video of our Revolution X 6.0, which is going to be 6,000 watts.
Yeah.
And this is the one that went like 61 or 62 miles an hour two-way average.
Oh my gosh.
Measuring, testing it.
That's
right.
rad.
It's if you can look right here.
Yeah.
You can see how everything's overbuilt. There's no bike on the market with this thick of head tubes. It's massive. It's super strong. The welds, it's TIG welded. It's a really good TIG welder.
This is like tapered head tube as well.
It's tapered. It's super strong. It's literally designed. We have 4 engineers that we're blessed to work with that are really, like one of the guys, one of our engineers, he brought the most expensive bike fork on the market, which is a DVO Emerald.
Okay.
He was responsible for engineering it, and he got Product of the Year this year. So he's an amazing engineer for geometry. So he was responsible for doing all the geometry, making sure everything lined up, suspension action, everything like that. And then so we have 4 engineers that help make this a reality. So this is not like a home built bike in a garage, you know, like we didn't just put this together.
Yeah,
and
you
try
have
to
like
piece it up.
legit
Like,
people.
this is going to be legitimate. Like this is going to be amazing.
And to that point, one thing I hear about the stealth bikes a lot is, hey, I've got my controller right there where mud and water is going to hit it, and you guys kind of have it placed in the same place. But you were telling me earlier, I see some holes. Like, are you gonna?
So first of all, the stealth is literally completely on the outside. This is recessed. This goes inside. It's mounted inside. The new version of the Revolution, the latest one that's going to be production that's shipping, has an actual carbon fiber cover. So the whole thing, it's recessed halfway, and then you have a carbon fiber shroud that has vents for air cooling.
Good.
That's going to protect it from the elements, mud and stuff like that.
Wow.
But it's still going to have airflow.
And it has the schlumpf that you were talking about, and it's also going to have a cassette in the rear.
Yeah, it's going to have a 9 or 10 speed cassette.
9 or 10 speed cassette. That's amazing, and it'll fit there even with the hub motor there too.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So the new dropouts are 150, like 155, somewhere around there. These are a little bit smaller, so
Okay.
that's part of the changes we made.
Wow. Well, this is pretty intense. Need to see this stuff. I'm excited to. And here's the other piece we were
This
talking.
is a commuter bike. One of our guys uses the system to commute every day. He doesn't use his car anymore,
Oh, nice.
so he just uses this thing. But yeah, so here's our dyno. So one thing at HPC that we're known for is our power levels. Okay.
Yeah, high
for
power.
most
right?
people, for most people, we really help them by being honest on exact output. So what I was telling you earlier is that a lot of Chinese manufacturers just play games to try with legalities to try to get into certain countries. So they might say, hey, I have a 250 watt motor there. Then now I can sell it legally in all of Europe. I can sell it in China.
Yeah.
No problems. When actuality, some of these 250 watt motors, we put them on the dyno, they're putting 700 watts out to the wheels. It's just a joke. So you don't abide by any manufacturer specs.
Okay.
We don't listen in that. We go in the real world, we test it, we tell you how much power is actually pulling out from the battery, how many watts is drawing, we give you the total wattage. And then we go ahead and put it on the dyno, and we'll tell you how many watts is putting out to the rear tire. So
Right.
it gives you an idea of efficiency.
And that's the one.
of the
I
system.
was testing the Freedom. That's kind of the entry level one over there. It's kind of a cruiser, 1995.
So that-
pretty good price, and that
Yeah.
puts out 750.
So that one is a 500 watt BBSO2.
Yeah.
We do a couple changes. We have a 26 amp controller, but it's not 500 watts. So what confused people sometimes is having a 250 watt motor that output is 700 watts,
Yeah.
then having a 750 quote unquote motor that output at 400 watts, and say, hey, why is my 250 watt motor faster than my 750 watt motor? And I'm like, because they just make up arbitrary specs. It makes no sense. Like, here's the actual output that you get, so we quote you what your actual output is and what
Yeah.
your output to the wheels are.
I appreciate the
So-
transparency, and also, I mean, I recognize that some of these bikes, you're talking about the other one that had the license plate back when it was like motorized, but some of these are like for off-road use. It's a higher powered machine, but you can also sort of set them all up at like that 750 watt
Yeah.
output, 20 mile per hour.
So
top speed.
everything that leaves high power cycles is federal legal. So everything that ships out of here is 750 watts and 20 miles an hour max. And it's up to the end user if they are on private property
Yeah.
or if they go off-road to their off-road
jumping,
trails,
whatever.
then you can unlimit it. But as far as going on the road and being legal to be considered a bicycle, you need to stay within the specs that we ship at, which is 750 watts and 20 miles an hour.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to show around the shop? I mean, it seems like this is cool. There's a
Yeah,
showroom.
so
People can come
this
visit you.
This guy right here is pretty cool. There's no battery inside, but this is our 7,000 watt and currently our most powerful bike right now.
And it's all-wheel drive.
It's all-wheel drive. It's pushing around 2,000 watts or so in the front. And this is a specialty motor. It's wound for between 70 and 90 volt operation. And then the back's a 5,000 watt motor. It's our air-cooled motor, and we're running close to about 4,500 or so in the back, and 2,000 to 2,500 in the front. And what a lot of people don't understand is what kills a motor is amperage.
Yeah.
So a lot of motors, especially the gearless motors, you can run high volts,
Yeah.
and it'll take the voltage. But if you overdo its amp limit, you can kill the motor. So, if you keep the amps low and you raise the voltage a little bit, especially when you make the magnetics for 72 volts or higher,
Yeah.
You can still be at, 20, 25 amps and be, close to 2,000 watts and 80 volts or whatever, 90 volts and 20 amps is not going to hurt that motor.
Okay. When you're looking at like an all-wheel drive bike like this, Is this for snow or is it for why?
It's for fun. Okay, so
It's
it's
for fun.
yeah, it's
There's that honesty again. I love it, Chris. Thank you.
It's heavy. It's not that useful. It's honestly just a blast. It's just for fun. Like how people drive it. I tell people to drive it. You're in rear wheel drive only.
Okay.
Okay. You're going to be traveling this 80-90% of the time.
Yep.
When you want a turbo boost and you want just insane acceleration, you just stab the front throttle. The reason we do this is because off-road we found it works better. We originally had our two-wheel drive bikes with one throttle, and it did both wheels. But what would happen is the front motor would come out of sync because the front motor doesn't have a lot of weight on it, so it would always be skidding out. And once it skids out at a way different rate than the rear, it kind of would trip up the system, and then you'd have to reset the throttle and come back on it. So we found that if you can modulate your own throttle, you skid out way less when you're trying to climb hills. You just give it a little throttle. That's all it needs in the front, just a little bit of throttle, and you can climb hills better. So it's a way better hill climber. It's heavy, but most of all, it's just for fun and just having a crazy acceleration. Because once you hit that other motor, it feels wild. It's like at least double the acceleration.
That's awesome. There was a guy in here this morning who seems like he almost kind of built his own one of these out of a prior bike, and he had the two-wheel motor system going on, and he said he used it for commuting and really liked it. It just seemed like, and he was a bigger guy and he carried stuff, so I got the impression it would help you climb having that extra motor.
It's a wild climber for sure. But I mean, it's really cool, but it's not for everybody for sure.
Right,
It's
I
just
appreciate
heavy.
that. What's like one of your most popular sellers here?
Bestseller, I would say the hardtail.
like
Well,
this?
this is a hardtail. This is a demo. This uses a really cheap fork, so I don't like to show that off. But that's it's just a demo that we put together with some old parts that we had laying around. But that's the current HT frame, and then it's just a special red bag we're just experimenting with. But basically a hardtail. Actually, our bestseller right now is.
You're like, we sold all our bestsellers.
The bestseller is the Explorer, which is the same frame, the red frame of the HT series.
Kind of like
but
this.
it's like this. It has the mid-drive
So
system.
mid-drive, like
with
that
the battery built in
BBS02.
with the Panasonic batteries, and that's our bestseller.
So the mid-drive is really
$22.95.
popular.
Yeah, because for most people, so we have like our own custom thing with motors. So like Crystalite OEMs, we tell them the specs and they make it to our specifications.
Yeah.
This has only 3 minor mods in general. One is 26 amps compared to 21 to 25 of others that uses the 750 watt motor, which is never 750 watts, but it's another thing. The chainring, this is the stock chainring. The person that's getting this particular bike wanted the stock chainring, so we offered them.
Oh yeah, you have the race face NW, right?
So
and that
this is
sort of
what comes
steps
stock.
it down.
This is what comes stock.
Tell me about this.
So we manufacture this adapter plate, and that allows it to have much better gearing. So
That's the chainring adapter. That's that black piece here that's like connecting to this chainring.
Yeah. So we found that with the stock BBS02, with the 46 and 48 tooth, what would be happening is you get to go and you can go 30 miles an hour in like the 7th gear on a 10-speed transmission, and it basically would be at top speed already. So then if you shift it again, it doesn't go any faster. It just starts heating up the motor more, and then if you shift again, it just gets worse, and the motor just starts overheating.
So you're like overworking the motor,
It's way over geared. So what we do is we drop it down to a 36 or 38 tooth race face. And that allows you an even spread through all the gears. Like in a 7 to 9 speed transmission, all the gears will add 2-3 miles an hour going up, and it keeps the motor a lot cooler. It runs better. It has more torque when you climb. So that's what we do in ours. And then so I told you 2 things that would change, and then the third thing is just custom programming. We have programming access to everything inside the motor. So first 3 speeds, speed 1 pedal assist is 250 watts, speed 2 is 500 watt, speed 3 is US legal 750 watt. And give me a second.
No worries.
Yeah, so speed 3 is 750 watts, which is US legal. And then we have a throttle override that when you're off-roading, if you're in level 1, 2, 3, and then you're like, oh no, I came to a hill that I can't climb, you just stab the throttle and you get full power and you can climb up anything. And then also we programmed it so it has very smooth transition in between gears when you stab the throttle. It's smooth, so it doesn't like jerk the chain, because we found that how it comes stock, it would ruin derailleur systems. It would bend things. It would be so violent, So you let off and then you come back on, and just a smooth transition. You can shift gears easy and not hurt anything.
So the throttle feels smoother, essentially. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the NW narrow wide thing on chains? I mean, I hear about that, and just what's your opinion, and what's that really doing?
Yeah. So narrow wide is awesome. We never really experimented to it with narrow wide chain rings until we made this for the BBS02. But basically what happens is the BBS02 is already offset pretty far out, right?
Yeah.
So when you do that, the chain line is, you can see how it's kind of like lined up around here or so.
Yeah.
So usually the chain's like
A little bit more inset.
More inside, so it's like in the center, so it can go up and down easy. What happens with the narrow wide is it allows way better chain retention. So way better chain retention than stock, and even though it's offset wide, the chain does not come off.
And retention meaning it's not going to slip backwards.
It's not gonna come off. Like the chain literally can come off the front crank.
Okay, so you don't drop the chain
The front chain ring, yeah. The chain can just drop off.
And the narrow wide is like one of the teeth is narrow and the next one's fat.
It goes fat and then narrow, then fat, then narrow, and then it just really holds onto that chain and doesn't let it drop.
Is it a special chain, or do you have to change the rear cassette at all, or
no? The chains we just use a 9-speed Shimano in the back, and the front chain ring's narrow wide and it holds perfectly. I've only had it drop one time, and that's when we were testing off road, and I came into a log that just literally jammed all the way up my chain, and I had to get off the bike. But that's the only time I ever had it drop.
Well, this has been awesome, man. Is there any other feedback or things you want to share?
Yeah, I'll give you a sneak peek at the warp drive.
Oh yeah, the warp drive.
So yeah, we've been working on the warp drive. All right. So this is what a lot of people have been waiting for. All right. So this is the warp drive. It's almost done. Okay. The mounts aren't finalized yet. We still have some work to do with getting the mounts to line up perfectly. But basically, this is unlike any other mid-drive system on the market. Let's bring it on the stand.
Okay.
All right. So here is the prototype of the warp drive. We're almost done with this. We're obviously gonna fix the mounts and make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and stuff like that. But
like a case or something.
Yeah, and we're gonna have this controller. It's gonna be mounted and it's gonna be all in one clean-looking unit.
Cool.
But basically, it's gonna be unlike any mid-drive on the market because most mid-drives have about a 20-to-1 gear reduction or less. All right.
What does that mean? Are we talking about torque here?
So how the motor spins, it's going to have a gear reduction. Usually there's like a single gear reduction in here, maybe a 5-to-1, 8, 9-to-1 inside,
Okay.
and then like a secondary reduction 2 or 3-to-1 or something like that. So what we did is we've been working on this for a couple years. It's about finished. It's our own motor system and our own planetary gear set, and it's all us doing this. So we have basically our final reduction is 102 to 1 right now.
Wow.
So it's an insanely high RPM motor.
Okay.
That spins at really high RPMs, can make a whole ton of power because it's spinning so fast.
Okay.
And that keeps it super light.
Oh.
So we have a big...
Because the magnet, like when you have the wider, usually you get power from having like a wider, if you're having like a gearless hub motor with magnets, you need the width to get the leverage. Yeah. But with this one, you can have a smaller, lighter motor and it's spinning faster, and this is where the power comes from. Then that's the gear reduction thing.
The gear reductions, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to get,
Yeah, so what's really unique about this is watch the pedaling. So first we use high quality parts. So this is a White Industries freewheel right here.
Okay.
But you'll see on most mid-drives like a Cyclone or Ego Kit or something like that, there's ratcheting. Okay, so when you pedal, it ratchets and it's kind of annoying. So
what does that mean? I haven't used those.
So like when you move a freewheel, it's gonna sound like that. So when you're pedaling forward on most, because this is a freewheel on most conversion kits, you're gonna have that sound when you're pedaling, which really annoys me because I like it smooth and quiet.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what we did here is we have a really thick 25mm axle. And we have a really trick setup that is silent when it rotates when it freewheels. So watch this. So the only sound you'll hear is
a little bit of the chain in the back. Yeah, nothing up here. It's like super quiet.
It's completely silent, and it's so easy and nice. So yeah, so it's gonna spin at insanely high RPMs. It's gonna the pedal cadence is matched. So that's another thing that's unique to our system. It's only outputting like 100 RPMs. So literally, it's not gonna, like when you floor the motor, like on most systems, it's gonna go way faster than you try to keep up with your pedals. But now, like you're at your matched cadence.
Cool.
So that's something else that's unique to this system. It's gonna be between 2,000 and 3,000 watts. It's about a 3,000 watt continuous capable motor. just because it spins so fast and it's pretty large diameter for what it is.
Wow.
But it's going to launch at 2,000 watts at first. And it's going to be adaptable. We're going to make mounts for 68 millimeter, 73, 83 downhill bikes, 100 millimeter
So
fat
people can
bikes.
put this on their own
so
bike.
it'll be able to put it on any bike.
And fat bikes, I heard you say.
Fat bikes
Wow.
for sure. Yeah.
That
We
is
already have
awesome.
people that have given us their fat bikes and are waiting eagerly for us to
Getting
get this
excited
done.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the new controller. It's the latest prototype. It's only 1 pound, high frequency. It's awesome. It runs it silently. We're super excited about this.
So you guys actually do, you said people gave you their fat bikes, so you do conversions for people if they want it?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
how much is this system going to be? I don't want to pressure you.
Yeah,
if you
I
know the
don't
price
know
point.
exactly. I mean, originally I can tell you where we were shooting. We were shooting with a 52 volt, 12.5 amp hour battery to come in around 2,500.
Oh, okay.
For the full system.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I
And this is another super high power, super potentially higher speed if people want to take it off road.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you can put a roll-off geared 14-speed
Oh,
transmission in the
nice.
back.
Yeah, geared,
and
internally geared.
Like, the torque on this is insane. Like, I've never ridden anything like it. In low gear, you literally, the wheel is like a tractor. It never stops. Like, you do not stop climbing.
Oh my
It
gosh.
does not stop. It's pretty awesome.
Well, this is awesome, man. It's been a ton of fun checking out, all these cool projects that you guys are doing, learning a little bit about the
I'll show
history.
you something else, too.
There's going to be more. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
okay,
well,
show me.
it's just little things. Like, a lot of bikes that we've ordered from other companies, like, we get it and the box is damaged and kind of
Oh,
messed
yeah.
up. Feel this box. Like, you're not gonna feel a heavy duty box. These are all custom
That's pretty
boxes
solid.
that are super, super strong. And we have, custom packaging, so when you get your bike, it's not gonna be damaged.
Nice.
Packaging's over there, but
And I saw on your
everything
website, I mean, to ship a bike, how much is it within the U.S. usually?
it's about 160, 169 so on
That's a nice
average.
number.
We're working with a new company in California that we can probably ship any bike under $100 overnight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so in California, and if you're on the West Coast, maybe Portland,
Right.
a place like that, we can ship quick. But yeah, here's like
Thanks.
parts of this is for the
Just like the
For-
handlebars or something? Oh, right there, like
yeah,
drop
for
out?
the front fork. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pieces like this, that just custom thick foam so it doesn't get damaged.
That's rad. And if people wanted to come by your show floor right here, I mean, where are we at? The
We're
address?
in Chatsworth, California, on Nordhoff Street in between DeSoto and Eaton.
Okay.
Address is 21122 Nordhoff Street in Chatsworth, California.
Okay. And you talked about your website where you've got like one of your bikes, this one, in fact, right? Like the Supermondo pulling that Jeep out there.
So this is a really fun bike. I can't reiterate enough that this is a perfect bike for someone with little kids that wants to pick them up, have fun with them. We have a lot of people that have Yuba bikes that pick up their kids from school and they have a fantastic time. Because you can take them up hills and you can do everything. But,
Wow. And this, I think, is 750-pound weight limit or something like that?
So total weight limit's about 750. It's 440 pounds for the rear,
Okay.
which is huge. So I mean, you can carry 2 big people on the back.
You have some big kids back there.
Yeah. And then, we had fun with this the other day, just messing around with it to see what it could do. And at 2,000 watts,
Yeah.
it's our lowest power level. I was able to tow a 5,000-pound Jeep.
Gee whiz. That's intense. Okay. Well, this is going to be a huge video. Again, I really appreciate the time, Chris. It's been awesome. I've actually reviewed a couple bikes today. Plan to review more in the future. And it's been awesome. So, yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. And I'll see you back at ElectricRideReview.com for those reviews. Cheers. 120. Oh, my gosh. Look at this. All motor power. Oh, my gosh. Look at this. This is incredible. And now he's doing some pedaling, helping out a little bit.
This is only 2,000 watts.